Welcome back to My Book of Mormon with me, David Michael, and our co-host,
Bryce Blankenegel, how you doing tonight, man?
doing fantastic.
Sweet.
This is a show where we're reading all of the Mormon doctrines cover to cover, and Bryce is joining us, and he's reading from the original Book of Commandments, and I will be reading from the most current Doctrines and Covenants. So yeah, we are up to, what are we up to, Bryce?
Section 27, right?
27, that is
27.
it. Of
Perfect.
the Doctrines and Covenants. Although Bryce gets offended every time I say that.
It's a
Apparently,
Book of Covenants. Book of Covenants,
only,
come on.
because
Right.
the doctrine has been removed. Anyway, yeah. So
We'll get
far,
to it,
I have to say I agree, Bryce, because there has not been any. I can't think of any real doctrine.
We've
Anyway.
gotten a Section 20 had a little bit of doctrine in it.
It actually did. It did. It had the exact magic spell you had to say when you were baptizing someone that for some reason changed at some point in time. But yeah, so I'm not sure if like the baptisms that were said in the original language, did they not count? Like, or do the ones that happened after it changed not count? Like one of them's got to be right. It's magic. You can't screw up the words. We've all seen Army of Darkness. Klaatu, Verata, doesn't count. Sorry, man. You got to say it right. Anyway.
Yeah. They're magical spells. They're really finicky, you know. You got to have it exactly right. You know, the Latin Bible spells that they talk about for exorcisms and whatnot. You know, those all have to be read perfectly, or else the demon's just going to laugh at you. So same thing with baptism. If you don't say it perfect, it doesn't count, man.
Yep. So anyway, we don't know what the right one is. We never got an answer to that. But anyway, we are already off on a tangent. We haven't even started yet, Bryce. So, but before we start, I got a couple people to thank. First, I wanted to thank someone, and this is what they want to be known as, the Wandering Cheese, a never-mo who likes beer and loud laughter. That's right.
The Wandering
you
Cheese.
may have seen him wandering around the internet. He goes by Seeds of Doubt, and I've seen him commenting on certain episodes of the show. I know it rings a bell. I think I've also seen him on the ex-Mormon subreddit. But anyway, thank you very much. That was awesome, Wandering Cheese. Anyway, okay. And then we also have to thank Todd C., who not only made a one-time donation, he also became a MIMO priest. So exciting. Todd, welcome on board, and thank you so much. All right. That was easy enough. Bryce, you ready to begin?
Let's do this.
Okay, section 27. The introduction begins. Revelation given to Joseph Smith the prophet at Harmony, Pennsylvania, August 1830. Bryce, so far, do our books agree? I know that
No, it doesn't. You know, we didn't do the chapter test, but according to my chapter guide, this is the same one. Mine actually starts out very unique. It doesn't say a revelation. Mine says a commandment to the Church of Christ. And it says given in Harmony, Pennsylvania, September 4th, 1830.
Okay, so our date, the only thing that matched was the location.
Yeah,
mine's
that was
August,
it.
yours was September. This was a revelation of Joseph Smith. Yours is a commandment to the church. Well, let me keep reading my introduction. We'll see if we are on the right sections or not. Okay, in preparation for a religious service at which the sacrament of bread and wine was to be administered, Joseph set out to procure wine. Okay, so I guess he had the bread already. He doesn't have any wine.
I remember this story.
Do you think we're in the right section, though, of your book?
I think so. I haven't read mine, but I think we'll get there.
Okay.
But I'm remembering this story when this came up in the timeline.
Well, it's not done. We're only like halfway through this intro.
Oh, delightful.
Yeah. He was met by a heavenly messenger and received this revelation. Okay. A portion of which was written at the time and the remainder in the September following.
Oh, that's how they get
the
out.
dates.
Ugh.
Nicely done. Nicely
I get
done.
it.
Okay.
Right? They get out of it somehow.
Yeah.
It's
Water
impressive.
is now used instead of wine in the sacramental services of the church.
Yours and yours actually says that, like explicitly spells that out. Really?
And Bryce, I don't like it at all because this is a total spoiler. Here I could have had this really cool story about this heavenly messenger coming down and wine turning into water, like a reverse Jesus miracle. Yeah, but now I already know what's coming, so it's like, well, that's not as fun. Bummer. Might have to stop reading these intros if they keep doing this. I don't want to know everything that's going to happen.
Right?
Oh well.
Oh well.
Yeah, but this is kind of
the
the reverse, right? Because Jesus was famous for turning water into wine, and Mormons are they're just undoing it, right?
Right? Yeah. Well, maybe water was more valuable back in Jesus' time than wine was valuable in Joseph's time.
Well, probably clean drinking water. It's probably true.
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly. I mean, that's why they drank wine because it had the alcohol to get rid of the antibodies that were in the water that was in there. So, I mean, it was
yeah.
cleaner to drink alcohol than water back then. I get it.
What's our excuse now, Bryce?
It's fun,
Ah, all
and
right.
we're
At
reading
least
the
we.
book that has very strict drinking game
That is
attached
true.
to
You're
it. I
right.
mean,
You're right. You're
so
right.
not only is there an excuse, but there's a reason, a very good reason for it.
It really is. This is kind of like if you want to be a host of this show, you just have to sign on board for that, right?
There you go.
This is not the healthiest occupation. No, being a host of this show definitely has side
Liver's
effects.
discretion advised.
All
Yep.
right, you start verse 1.
All right, listen to the voice of Jesus Christ, your Lord, your God, and your Redeemer, whose word is quick and powerful.
All right, well, good news. We're in the same section, and mine was exactly the same. So far,
Good.
unchanged.
And I should say, just on the onset, according to the authorship study, this section is pinging as Oliver Cowdery, not Joseph Smith or Sidney Rigdon.
Man, okay. Thank you for that, Bryce. Next time, let me guess.
All right, cool. Well, yeah,
I feel like
let's
I
try and
know-
hone this in. Let's see if we can get to a point where you can identify him.
Right, like instantly from the first verse, I knew it wasn't Joseph Smith
Of course,
because Joseph Smith would have said that he was the voice of Jesus Christ. I am Jesus Christ, your Lord, your Redeemer, your God. This was like someone speaking about him in the third person, and that is not Joe's writing style. So I
exactly.
knew it wasn't him. So then I only had to narrow it down between Ollie or Rigdon. And yeah, I'm trying to think what the biggest differences are between the two. There's just for some reason I can't describe it. When it just reminds me of the Book of Mormon, that's when Rigdon's a giveaway, right? That's
Yeah,
kind of the. So I want to see if I can guess. That's all.
All right.
All right, but anyway, we're starting
Okay.
verse 2. Why don't you take it since I was complaining? That was mean of me.
For behold, drink,
Drink.
I say unto you, that it mattereth not what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink when ye partake of the sacrament, if it so be that ye do it with an eye single to my glory.
So it can be anything. It really can.
Yeah, you want to drink some ayahuasca instead of water? Yeah,
No, it's just like, hey.
you'll definitely see God if you do that.
Yeah, you want to do it with beer and nachos? That's fine. Knock yourself out. It doesn't make any difference what you eat or drink as long as you're doing it, with the right heart or whatever.
For some reason, I don't see that going over quite so well in the actual church. I mean, it's Wonder Bread and tap water is kind of the general consensus. If you come in with some nachos and beer,
But what's
I'm just saying you're gonna get some weird
All right,
looks.
sorry. Good God, we have read 2 verses, and this always happens to us. Anyway, I've heard that like different wards, there's some. It's not just like geography that makes a ward. Like I've heard there's like youth wards or something, or singles wards, or I don't
yeah,
even
there's
know.
singles. Usually the young adult wards are the singles wards.
All right, so I'm thinking that crowd you could
marriage
probably
factories.
sell with the beer and nachos idea. Yeah, and then once the youngsters are doing it, becomes cool, and then you can't stop it. So
Maybe not. We'll ease them into it. Start with caffeine-free Diet Coke, and then eventually move to maybe some ginger beer or something, and
all right,
then
and so
non-alcoholic beer.
just tortilla
It's-
chips, right? Don't put anything on them yet.
Yeah.
Don't.
I mean,
don't crush 'em.
eventually you could get there. Could
Okay.
happen.
All right, I am going to keep reading. So then, after the I single to my glory, mine says, remembering unto the Father my body, which was laid down for you, and my blood, which was shed for the remission of your sins.
Cannibalism, yay!
Lovely. Wherefore a commandment I give unto you. Ah, here it comes, the commandment. That you shall not purchase wine, neither strong drink of your enemies. Okay.
There you go.
So first of all, that just contradicted the verse before that said it made no difference what you drink. Now it's saying, but it can't be wine or strong drink of your enemies.
It just says that you can't purchase the wine from them. It didn't say anything about stealing it from them, right? Or drinking their wine.
Fair. Huh. Okay, I guess that's true. Like if someone just gave it to them.
Right. I mean, when it comes to commandments from God, they're infallible. That way, this is how like very Orthodox Jews get around like the commandments in the Talmud, right? If the lawgiver is perfect and the words are perfect and they're translated perfectly, then whatever loopholes exist in the law, then you can exploit those loopholes.
Yep.
So that's
Because
why they have.
he would have known. He would have known that those would be
Yeah.
exploited, and but that's the way he said it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So it's all about pedantics, you know.
All right, let's keep reading.
Wherefore you shall partake of none, except it be, or it is made new among you. Yea, drink. In this my Father's kingdom, which shall be built on the earth.
So you can drink whatever you want as long as you make it and it's fresh? Is that what that means?
I guess. And it says, I mean that is one thing that will build up the kingdom of the Father. So it's like this is kind of a sticking point. Is like you have to make whatever you drink by you have to be the person that makes it, and then that's what's going to help build up the kingdom.
But who makes tap water? I mean, that's just I don't know. I don't understand what this means. You shall partake of none except it is made new among you. I think that's what it means. Whatever you drink, you need to make it yourself and it needs to be fresh.
Yeah, well, remember when I talked about the on my show about the word of wisdom when it says you shouldn't drink any wine except that you make it yourself? I think this was one of the precursors because that came about in 1833, I believe, the beginning of 1833. This was happening, 2.5 years before that. So
what was that called again? It was called the words of wisdom.
Yes, the word.
Well, guess
of
what?
Wisdom.
That's the next verse backs up your claim. So let's see. Behold, drink. This is wisdom in me. There you go. Words of wisdom already popping out. Wherefore marvel not, for the hour cometh that I will drink of the fruit of the vine with you on the earth. I don't know why that sounded creepy. It just did. Okay. And with Moroni, whom I have sent unto you to reveal the book of Mormon, containing the fullness of my everlasting gospel, to whom I have committed the keys of the record of the stick of Ephraim. What the hell's the stick of Ephraim?
Dude, all of that was not in mine. Everything that you just said, because mine ended with drink of the fruit of the vine with you, and then everything you said after that is not in mine. Anything about Moroni, that's all new.
Okay, but that fair. Do you think that? Well, yeah, no, he was already in the Book of Mormon by then. By this time, the Book of Mormon had been published, right?
Yeah, 6 months before this.
So the story of Moroni floating over him was already out there, right?
No, it was not.
Okay. The
that
first chapter of the Book of Mormon I read was not necessarily the first chapter in the original printing.
No, so the chunk that you read at the introduction that you read out of the Book of Mormon, that was
story
added in,
of how Joseph got the plates and all that.
Yeah, that was added in much later. That story, the first mention of any of that was in 1832. I mean, a year and a half after this. So
wow.
Moroni, the concept of Moroni appearing to Joseph Smith, I don't know if it was kind of an amorphous idea, if that was the first coming at this point, or if it was, how much people knew about it. But like when it came to David Whitmer, what David Whitmer said is, he hadn't heard any stories of angelic intervention until 1834, or 35,
right.
36.
So when was the first documented account of the angel Moroni?
I'm trying to remember.
I know. I always put you on the spot like this, like your Wikipedia or something.
I know, and I am trying to remember. I'm fairly certain that 1832 is when the very first documentation of Joseph Smith history happened, and that's when it made mention of Angel Moroni and whatnot.
Well, that makes sense why it wouldn't be in your original, and why it's in here now.
Yeah.
But that was fine. It's not like we haven't read that before. You sent him to reveal the fullness of my everlasting gospel and all that. We've heard it a million times. But then it got super weird at the end. To whom I have committed the keys of the record of the stick of Ephraim. What the hell is going on there?
So, I told you, get your sticks, right? Told you all about that? Yeah, so
that's the sticks are the four, like the Bible, the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl Great Price, right?
Right. So they have the stick of Judah, I believe, is the Bible, and then the stick of Joseph, which is portrayed as the Book of Mormon. So the Book of Ephraim, Ephraim is kind of one of it's one of the tribes of Israel, and it's the tribe that's kind of saddled with organizing Zion, basically. Like they're one of the main tribes. So I'm thinking that the stick of Ephraim is probably the Book of Commandments. I'm not 100% sure. Because I'm not sure what I'm basing that off of.
No,
but
I'm going to guess it would be the Book of Mormon because
that was the stick of Joseph. The Book of Mormon was the stick of Joseph.
But let's how it's described. And I'm sorry if people don't care or if everyone knows the answer to
Here,
this and
just
they're just mad at us.
read the passage again though, because
All
I
right,
want
all
to
right.
parse this out.
So he's going to drink the fruit of the vine with people, which is just weird. And then on the earth and with Moroni, whom I have sent unto you to reveal the book of Mormon, containing the fullness of my everlasting gospel, to whom I've committed the keys of the record of the stick of Ephraim. So the keys of the
Wow,
record
that's a
of
mess.
anyway, it's just that's the tough part, right? When you we need more of the story.
The way that it reads there, it does sound like the Stick of Ephraim is the Book of Mormon, but I've never heard to it referred as that. It may be, but it's just I'm not recalling ever hearing it referred
I
to
know,
as that
and that's the
before.
problem. Like, I'm serious. You're helping, right? Imagine if you weren't here. Imagine if I really was doing this by myself. I read the Book of Mormon cover to
What the
cover,
hell's
and now
going
I'm
on?
reading this. And listen, I read the crazy stuff before this. I read the whole Pearl of Great Price before I even cracked this book. I didn't realize that we were going back into a little bit more sane world when we picked this book up. Because, yeah, that was like when Joe started doing acid or something when that came out. But at this point, if you're just reading chronologically, like Book of Mormon, now we're reading this, I'd be like, what's going on? Like, I feel like when did all this get? I feel like I'm missing something, right? Like, where
Right.
was this? Where was that
Yeah,
story?
it was never referred to. I mean,
No,
you've never read the phrase "Stick of Ephraim" before, right?
never. And I've
I
also
mean,
never heard of the keys of the record. That's also never been said. But
so
anyway,
what I would interpret that as the keys of the record are the Urim and Thummim, right? The keys that you use in order to interpret the record. Any keys that they have that those are like the blessings. That's the ability of Joe to reveal it, and then that amorphously turned into the Urim and Thummim later on.
Bryce, I know what's going on. I think I figured it out. I think this might be the first time that we had a like Oliver only revelation.
Well, I mean, yeah, this one does ping as Oliver.
And before, every time we heard Oliver, it was like some Oliver, some Joe. And maybe this
Yeah.
is just what he sounds like when he's on his own, and that's why it sounds so
Well,
different.
but I have to say also that thing that you read that we're discussing right now, it's not in mine in the
Oh, that's
original.
true. That's fair.
But it might have been
Okay.
added in the 1835 edition. I don't have that one readily handy. That's actually packed in a box right now. But it might be in that one. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
and so maybe just the oral tradition of what was happening, right?
Could have
That
been,
suddenly
yeah.
got introduced by 1835, and everyone at that time period would have known what that meant. Anyway, we got to move on. We are moving
Yeah.
super slow tonight. All right. But this is kind of interesting stuff. Anyway, it is to us.
Well,
'Cause
it's
we're
worth
nerds.
trying to parse out at very least, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if we're trying to read these words, and if the words, have meaning, it's worth finding out what that meaning is, even if it is as weird as, drinking of the vine or the fruit of the vine with you on earth and all
Okay,
that.
Bryce, keep reading.
And with all those whom my Father hath given me out of the world. So that was.
What?
Is that okay? Was that the end of your verse, or was there more tacked on that I don't have in mine?
No. The next words in my book, and also with Elias.
Okay, you know what? I tell you what, just read your section all the way to the end of this one, and then I'll read mine all the way to the end because I have a feeling like there's some vast differences here.
All right. So, Stick of Ephraim is where we left off, and also with Elias, to whom I've committed the keys of bringing to pass. Oh, and you kind of like want that to be a drink, don't you? Like
Just for nostalgia's sake.
All right,
Just
drink,
nostalgia,
drink,
man. All right.
drink.
Drink.
All right. Where was I? The restoration of all things spoken by the mouth of all the holy prophets since the world began concerning the last days. All right. So now we have Elias. I don't know where he came from. These are probably in the Bible. Like, I'm pretty sure there's an Elias in the Bible. Ephraim probably too. So maybe that's the idea. We're supposed to be reading back to that to figure out what the hell all of this spoken by the
Well,
mouth, and I don't know.
wasn't Elias? Wasn't he one of the like old pre-Abrahamic prophets? Prophets like there was Elias and Enoch and like the early dudes like the pre-Diluvian or antediluvian guys. I think Elias was one of those prophets, if I'm not mistaken.
Just keep saying really smart stuff. I'm googling it.
When I think it was episode like 19 or something like that. It was the priesthood episode where I deconstructed the chronological list that Joseph Smith made of the various prophets, and it was completely out of whack. There was absolutely no chronological order to it, but he was invoking all of these old prophet names, Elijah, Elias, Enoch, so on and so forth. And I think that he just lumped that one together as one of the guys that slowly brought forth the bloodline of Jesus. I'm not
Gotcha.
sure.
I don't know. I wasn't listening because I was trying to research, so I'm sure everything you just said was genius, and I can't wait to listen to it when I do edit. But all I could learn is that Elias, was translated into Elijah. So the name
Oh,
belonged most notably to Elijah. So I
interesting.
don't. But I'm sure there was another reference to Elias somewhere in the Bible, and it might be referencing that. I don't know. Who cares? He's just gonna bring to pass restoration and stuff. All right. So
Joseph was all about, he liked to name drop. It's like, oh, Enoch talked to me, and oh, I saw in a vision the Elias, the prophet Elias. He was amazing.
and if he couldn't think of anyone, he just made up a new one like Xenos. Anyway,
Or Zelf.
Zelf. He did like a Z's. There was also a Zenoch, I believe.
Yeah, yep, yep.
All right. So there's a Z coming up. Okay. So here it comes. And also John the son of Zacharias, which Zacharias he parentheses Elias end parentheses. What the hell does that mean? Visited and gave promise that he should have a son, and his name should be John, and he should be filled with the spirit of Elias. Ew. What? That just got super kinky at the end. Whoa. Okay. So
You're taking
John,
Elias's spirit all over. No, but what the yeah? What did just happen?
I don't
So
know. Okay, first
so
of all, this is like one of
Elias.
those riddles because it's John the son of Zacharias, which Zacharias he visited and gave promise.
Okay.
Okay, so
So
John,
Elias, I wonder if this is talking about like John the Beloved or John the Baptist or something, because
maybe.
Joe did like to name drop, and if it's talking about Elias inspiring Zachariah to have a child,
It
um,
sounded like there was some like gay sex happening at the end. I mean, it's just what it sounded like because John had to be filled with the spirit of Elias. Okay.
sounds pretty delightful.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, what the hell does that mean?
I think that's. I mean,
Is
that's
is
what it
it
means to me.
saying like
It's either that or he's being possessed. I mean, if those are my options, I'll take the former. Like, I don't want to be possessed by someone. Goodness.
could it be both? Could it be both? That's all I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah. You leave a little bit of your soul behind, right? Okay. So I'm going to keep reading.
I hear that after an encounter like that, you're a changed person, but I don't know.
Which John I have sent unto you, my servants, Joseph Smith June and Oliver Cowdery, to ordain you unto the first priesthood which you have received.
Yeah,
So there you go.
yeah.
It was
It's
John the
talking about
Baptist.
John the Baptist
Well,
right there.
well, apparently he was filled with some Elias spirit. All right. So, and by the way, I know it's supposed to be Joseph Smith Jr., but they still continue to write Jun, so I'm just going to read it how it's written. Okay. That you might be called and ordained even as Aaron. They are just name dropping all over the place. We got some
This
Elias,
is
some
this is
Zacharias,
just
some
throwing
John.
in like a miniature chronology, a miniature, you know, priesthood line of authority for Joseph and Oliver, right? Because, like I said, at this time, I don't think that Moroni was really much of a concept at this time. I mean, what most people considered to be the authority claim that Joseph and Oliver were running off of at this time was them being baptized by getting the gift of Aaron or whatever, being baptized by John the Baptist.
You know,
So I have to say I wonder if they're setting out the precursor for the history before it actually or after it actually happened. But when it was initially recorded in my version, they didn't have any of this made up yet. So that's why it's all new stuff.
all right. Well, I don't know what's in yours yet, so we're gonna get to that. And trust me, there's a lot more name dropping coming. So here we go.
Dude, seriously?
Oh,
Okay, keep
quite a few.
going.
I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to scan down, but I'd see at least 6 more names.
No way.
Yeah, true
All
story.
right, here we go.
And also Elijah, unto whom I have committed the keys of power of turning the hearts of the fathers to the children.
Okay, did it not say that Elias or Elijah was a pseudonym for Elias or whatever?
That's what Wikipedia said, but
That's what.
this book didn't.
Well, I don't think whoever was writing this revelation necessarily knew the chronology of the old prophets. So
Perhaps.
more, I think it was just like name dropping. It was like, yeah, so it's like Donald Trump saying, Abraham Lincoln, he endorsed me. He's a big fan. We're real good friends. He's a wonderful person. And he thinks that I'd be the best president this country had ever seen. Right? Same
That
type
wasn't
of
bad.
thing.
That wasn't bad. I mean, it's yeah, well done. Okay.
I've listened to a lot of his work.
But yeah, I mean, Joe he didn't have time to check all of these, right? I mean, the internet must have been really slow back then, so it'd have taken forever just to
We're talking like
wiki.
maybe 2K tops.
Could you imagine how long it would take just to load a single wiki page? It'd just be forever. So okay. So Elijah. So what's he doing? He has the power to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children. The power of turning the hearts of the fathers to the children.
That's a Book of Mormon reference there, which I
Is it?
think was initially taken from the Bible.
It could be, and it keeps going in reverse. And the hearts of children to the fathers.
Oh, there's chiasmus. That means that it's actually that means it's an ancient Semitic text because there's chiasmus in it.
Hold on. That the whole earth may not be smitten with a curse, because that's what happens when you don't listen to Joe. Smitten, whole earth now. He's like, I'm just the entire earth's gonna get cursed if you don't listen to me. That's right. What? Explain this chiasmus again. It just sounded like circular logic, basically.
It is. Well, yeah, that's what it is. It's like it's a nested statement, like a nesting doll of statements. So you have like A statement A, then it goes down to statement B, and then you restate B, and then you restate A. So it's a nested statement A B B A. So what did it say? I'm trying to remember what it said.
It said Elijah has the keys of power of turning the hearts of the fathers to the children and the hearts of the children to the fathers.
Yeah, so it's like it goes in from the hearts of the children to the father, and then the father to the children. Yeah, so it's like it goes in and then back out.
If there's a sentence written that way, it must be ancient text.
Yeah, because the Bible's written that way, so obviously that's where it came from. I mean, come on.
Okay.
It's literary scholarship that was done in the 1960s. So I mean, that's how they were able to identify that the Book of Mormon is actually a Semitic text.
Alrighty then.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna move on.
Just take what I'm saying. Just take it at its word. That's all that matters.
You got it. All right, we're gonna keep going.
I invoked a big confusing word, chiasmus. Don't ask questions about it.
I know. You're just smarter than me. What are you gonna do? All right. And also with Joseph and Jacob, 2 in a row, and Isaac. Ooh, there's a third. And oh my God, next line. I need to stop pausing in the middle of the sentence. There's so many names. All right, let me start over. And also with Joseph and Jacob and Isaac and Abraham, your fathers, by whom the promises remain. Yeah, okay. I still think that maybe Oliver didn't know that a few sections ago, the time that Joe when it was born, right? When he finally a cult leader was born, when he said, nothing in the past is relevant anymore. The only thing that matters is what I say from here on. You remember that? And I was like, my God, it just was born, right? Do you remember?
Right. Yep.
So I don't know. I feel like at this point, I don't know. I think we still have an infant cult. I don't know. What do you think? Is it crawling yet, or do you think it's still just crapping in its diaper and rolling around?
Man, 6 months into this, I think it was still, it's still kind of slobbering all over itself.
I think you're
in
right.
the pretty early stages.
It's almost like when you have a newborn and one day it realizes it has hands, and those are interesting, and then it's like, oh, there's feet down there. That's interesting. And I kind of feel like they're just getting the lay of the land and figuring out, the parameters of which they have to live in their reality. Anyway,
Right.
But right now, apparently, the crowd needed some names, and so he was giving them to them. All right. So the promises remain, though, even though they didn't. Whatever. And also with Michael, or Adam, the father of all, the prince of all, the
Michael or
of
Adam.
days.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's where that doctrine came from, because Brigham Young was known for preaching that the Adam God doctrine, where they.
But none of this is in your version?
No, none of this is in mine. Absolutely none of what you're saying is in mine.
So
But
okay. So
It's I think that's where some of the confusion came in because Joseph Smith tried to say that Michael was who he was like the counselor to God and he was the first human being in human form. So it's kind of like
this is the same as the
Muhammad.
angel Michael from the Bible.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So
okay,
it's
okay.
like Muhammad was visited by the angel Gabriel.
Right.
Kind of the same thing. It's like Angel Michael was the one that was tasked with populating the world. And Adam was just his human name when he came down, but Michael must have been like his temple name or something. I don't know. That's the way that I can wrap my mind around it.
Okay. So talk me through when that when did this kind of doctrine start? You said this was like Brigham Young, or you're not sure? Because obviously, if it's not in your version, it probably wasn't a thing back in 1830.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know when that came about when Joseph Smith started preaching about it. That might actually be in the lectures on faith. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't read them yet. I'm waiting until we get to them to read them. But the Adam God doctrine, where Adam was God, incarnate, that was
I
Brigham
remember
Young.
that from being well, no, it wasn't quite that strong in the Pearl of Great Prize, but Adam definitely had
It didn't
a bigger role.
explicitly say that was what it was, but that was what Brigham Young was able to pull out of the Pearl of Great Price.
All right.
So, and that's why he preached the Adam God doctrine so
I do
virulently.
I do love the poetry at the end of this though. Michael or Adam, the father of all, the prince of all, the ancient of days. You're just like, whoa, it's getting very dramatic. The prince of all. Okay, I had no idea.
So
Everlasting
then, who's the
prince.
king of all?
No, somebody else was king. I don't know who I didn't mention.
All
You,
right, all
you
right, all right.
probably thought I was done name dropping. No, not even close. And also with Peter and James and
Oh,
John, whom I have sent
oh,
unto you,
oh.
by whom I have ordained you and confirmed you to be apostles and especial, not special now, especial.
Especial.
Okay, special witnesses of my name, and bear the keys of your ministry and of the same things which I revealed unto them. Yeah. All right, you want to try and dissect that?
No, because
Why
I
did you
have
get so
not.
excited when I said Peter, James, and John?
Well, it's just, it did like the whole lineage. It went all the way up to Abraham
Yeah.
and then all the way back down to talking about Peter, James, and John, the three profiteers or whatever you want to call them. And it's like, yeah, it's a huge name drop session. He's like, yeah, so I was having dinner last night with Peter, James, and John. I know, I'm pretty cool, right? I mean, it's just, and trying to parse out what it actually means, just,
It
I don't know.
actually might be worth our while for you to look up when this particular one was so drastically changed. It would tell a lot about like how much in the doctrine had changed between 1830 and whatever X date it is. I know you theorized it was probably 1835, but it'd be cool to actually find out. Anyway, that's fine.
See.
And by the way, I'm not even close to being done with this thing, so I'm
Are
just
you
gonna
kidding me?
no,
This is insane. Okay,
almost
keep
an
going.
entire page left. All right,
Oh
unto
no, it
whom?
was okay. Hang on, I do have to say, yeah, this was all added in the 1835 version.
All
So
right,
this was all stuff that Joseph wrote in his second edition book or Doctrines and Covenants.
you're certain it was Joe?
He was the person responsible for parsing out a lot of what got into or for revising a lot of what got into it. So I don't know if it was actually Joe that added in all of this. Given the name dropping nature of it, I would assume it was Joe, but I'm not 100% sure.
Just interesting, like the point where it switched from Oliver to Joe. Anyway, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna keep reading because I'm
yeah,
not
it's
even
kind of
close
all
to
new
being done.
stuff.
So here we go. Unto whom I have committed the keys of my kingdom and a dispensation of the gospel for the last times and for the fullness of times, in which I will gather together in one all things, both which are in heaven and which are on earth. What does this have to do with not drinking wine? Why are we going down this path? I don't
Okay,
understand.
you know what? Okay, so mine, out of all of this, mine has one verse left.
Okay, why don't you
So
just read yours? Because I still have a long way to go. So,
mine
and,
just
and
says,
by the way, we have to
"Wherefore."
jump all the way back before I started talking about Moroni and the stick of Ephraim, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
So
right.
mine went from "I will drink of the fruit of the vine with you," that creepy part, on the
Mm-hmm.
earth, and with all those whom my Father hath given me out of the world. And then the last verse says, "Wherefore lift up your hearts and rejoice, and gird up your loins and be faithful until I come. Even so, amen. Drink." That's all that was in mine. So all of the stuff that we're reading right now, it must have, like, Joe must have been reading it and was like, "Yeah, this one's a little boring. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna spice it up a little bit, make it a
Goodness.
little more interesting to read.
I think that part of yours was kind of melded in because I see a loin business coming up soon. So anyway, let's interesting, right? So all right, this is all new stuff in the volume 2 at least. All
There you
right,
go.
so where was the last thing?
Well,
Okay,
yeah. So the last thing you said was, it will have
yeah, things that are in
all
heaven
these things.
and earth and all that nonsense.
Yep.
And it looks like it's a whole bunch of this kind of, I don't know, Christianese going forward.
And it's just talking. It's all restorationist stuff too. It's all about Zion. It's all about building up all of these things, all in
You
one
don't
thing,
know
and
that? You
everything
don't
will
know
be.
what's in mine? Come on, let me read it. All
Eh,
right. And
all
also
right.
with all those whom my Father hath given me out of the world. I'm sorry, what? What does that mean? All those whom my Father hath given me out of the world. Does that mean just like
Let's
people that
see.
were saved and now it's like his property or something?
Well, no. So if you go back in the section, it says, of all the things which I revealed unto them, unto whom I have the keys of my kingdom. So that's what it's talking about, is the keys of the kingdom and the things that God has revealed to his people here. So that's what he's talking about. He'll gather all of these people together in one, or together in one, all things, both which are in heaven and on earth. So then when it goes on to,
Well,
all things, those whom my Father hath given me out of the world, I think that's just more talking about revelations that God has given Joseph while he has been here on the world.
oh,
That's how I'm reading into it. But
makes
this
a lot
is
more sense.
really
No,
confusing stuff.
I have no
So,
idea what it has to do with what you drink. But all right, we're just going to keep going. It gets a
yep.
little bit more upbeat. So here we go. Wherefore, lift up your hearts and rejoice, and gird up your loins, and take you my whole armor. Sorry, weird.
Okay,
Take
okay.
upon
So I
you
have
my
to
whole armor. There it is.
I have to pause. That's where it said in mine is, lift up your hearts and rejoice and gird up your loins. Then mine has like 5 more words and then it's over. But no, instead it decides to add on a whole bunch more into your version after those that one line in mine.
And there are
So
several more verses after this. I hope you know.
it's amazing.
Yeah. So, and take upon you my whole armor, that ye may be able to withstand the evil day.
The evil
The
day.
evil day. That's what it says. Yeah.
I
It's
don't know
great.
what that is.
Okay. Having done all, that ye may be able to stand. Oh, boy. I don't know. This is like a 3rd grade writing project. I don't know. The evil day, but you can't stand up. I guess it just means like there's going to be an evil day and you don't want to get knocked over, pretty much. So gird up your
Yeah, you got to
loins.
stand at the judgment seat.
All right, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth. Oh my God. I'm telling you, this one, a lot of
Oh, dude, it's getting
innuendos
so
in
much
here.
better. It's
Okay,
getting so much better. Keep
having
going.
on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. What are you talking about?
What
You're
the
literally
hell is
talking
that?
about armoring up for battle, and but as long as your feet are wearing the gospel of peace, for some reason, I don't know. Anyway, which I have sent mine angels to commit unto you. I don't know if you're gonna have peace. Why are you putting on armor? I don't know.
And why are you putting that gospel of peace on your feet?
Well, maybe they're
Isn't
just
that what
putting
you should
on.
be like, speaking out of your mouth, the gospel of peace? Like, why is that on your feet?
I would feel like that would just mean like so you can run away fast, right? I guess. Like if you're not going to fight and there's an army charging you, you're either going to fight them or you're going to try and run fast. So maybe that's why it's on their feet. You know, do the old what was it, the Ammonites? Or at the time they were the anti-Nephi
Oh,
Lehi's or
right,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So that's what they
They
did.
had they had their feet shod with just praying to God and submitting to getting their heads chopped
That
off.
was the problem. They
Yeah,
had
that
their
was stupid.
it was their mouth that had the gospel of peace. So they just said it. We're not going to fight,
Oh,
and then they just got killed. So these guys, they're
you're
getting
right.
smarter. They're getting a little
If
smarter.
only the Ammonites' feet were shod with the gospel of peace, they would have been booking it. They would have been just
Exactly.
fine, right?
There you go. Angels gave it to them. They're good to go.
I'm so glad that we can make sense out of this now. It's so much better now.
And you know what? I'm not as upset because it sounds like this is just defensive equipment, right? So they're not going to attack anyone. So anyway, let's just keep going. Taking the shield again, shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. Boy,
Woo,
so they're
there you
definitely
go.
they're not fighting back. They're just they want to get the heck out of there and they want to be at least have some armor so they don't die while they retreat. This seems fair. Okay. And take thy helmet of salvation. All right, got to protect
That's
your head. That's
smart.
fine. And the
Yep.
sword of my spirit. Uh-oh. No,
Oh, that's
what
not
do you need a
necessarily
sword for?
defensive.
That's going to slow you
Right.
down. Yeah, your feet are already shod. You don't want extra weight. All right, all right. Which I will pour out upon you. All right. His spirit,
There we
he's
go.
going to pour all over him. Man, this phrasing,
Just when,
phrasing.
just when you thought this couldn't get any more steamy, talking about
Yeah.
partaking or drinking of the fruit of the vine with you, yeah, it gets pouring out the spirit on people.
Well, how
Oof,
about Elias, like
good stuff.
being inside John or whatever that was?
Ooh, yeah, filling him
Spirit
with
had to be
Elias's
filled with.
spirit.
Yeah, he had to fill Elias' spirit. Anyway, yeah. And now I guess they're not. They're just taking the other option and just pouring it all over him. Okay.
Some like it that way. Some like it, some like to be filled. I assume so. It's just a matter of preference at
Totally
this point, I
preference.
think.
Totally preference. So
Yep.
there you go. All right. And my word which I reveal unto you and be
Woo,
agreed.
reveal. That's a
Ah,
nice word.
True. True. Yeah. All right. Let's just keep going. Let's see if we can make innuendos out of all this. All right. So I reveal unto you and be agreed as touching all things, whatever ye ask of me. Well,
Great.
this is writing itself. Or I'm sorry, of course it's writing itself, but the jokes are writing themselves. Good God.
Oh, this is just too steamy.
Oh, no, my gosh. I have to. You are not going to believe what's next. And be faithful until I come. Oh, my God. I don't know.
It went all the way.
Okay.
All the way to
and
the
ye
sweet
shall be.
end.
I still have a little bit left. And my goodness. And ye shall be caught up, that where I am, ye shall be also. Amen. Drink.
Amen to that. Ooh, let's all have a celebratory drink. Whew, I'll wipe the sweat off my brow for that one.
Yeah. I made the spirit joke and it just kept going. Anyway.
It dug itself deeper and deeper. It was beautiful.
I wanted to read it again because I'm interested, but I know anyone that did thought to want to hear it again, just hit your little 15-second back button. Worth it, I guarantee it. Okay, so that was the end of section 27, and yeah, it definitely grew. That was an evolving revelation because, boy, I think it more than doubled in size, Bryce.
I'm saying something grew, something doubled in size in here. I mean, whew, yeah.
All right, let's try and burn through this one because, boy, I hope it doesn't say much because we have to get through two. It was so short.
At least two, right?
Okay. Section 28 begins. Revelation given through Joseph Smith the prophet to Oliver Cowdery at Fayette, New York, September 1830. Are we good so far, Bryce? On your version?
Yep.
All
That's
right.
mine, yep.
Hiram Page, a member of the church, had a certain stone and professed to be receiving revelations by its aid concerning the up. You know what? I'm going to stop. I feel like they are now just giving me a giant spoiler. I'm not reading it. Did yours stop at the September 1830?
Yep,
I
that's
figured.
mine's just a one
Yeah,
line.
I'm not going to read the rest of that introduction because it's for some reason it's now giving us spoilers in the intros, and I don't like that.
All right,
All
touche to that.
You start reading verse 1.
Okay, behold, drink. I say unto you, Oliver, that it shall. I feel like that should be like the automated voice. I say unto you, Oliver, that it shall be given unto thee.
Can I tell you
that thou
something
shalt
funny?
be.
Can I tell you something funny? In my version, again, the more current the version is, the more Old English it gets. Mine says, I say unto thee, not you. Yeah, lovely.
Of course.
Just got to give
That's
it a
why
little
not.
more old-timey feel. Yeah. Okay.
I love it. That it shall be given unto thee, that thou shalt be heard by the church in all things whatsoever thou shalt teach them by the Comforter, concerning the revelations and commandments which I have given.
And we learned last week that the Comforter was the Holy Ghost. So, all right,
Yeah.
we're reading so far.
So that's how you know. That's your test, the litmus test. If somebody's teaching you something about the Spirit and you get that burning in your bosom, that means the Comforter is teaching you right now. So that's how Oliver's supposed to teach, with the assistance of the bosom burning.
I guess. I just would have thought that. It's like if the Holy Spirit didn't tell you that that's what you should say, you shouldn't say it. I just would have read that differently. But, whatever. Doesn't matter. Basically,
Right.
Oliver, good news. You get to preach. Okay. But, I just got a chubby.
I see that. Oh,
Sorry,
that's a
everybody.
waterfall.
You guys are going to love this. Okay. But behold, drink. Verily, drink. Verily, drink. Triple drink. All right, hold on. I gotta do it.
We've had a triple drink before. that, that was amazing, though. Oh, wow.
Love him.
It's like he knew. Whoever wrote this, it's like they knew.
It was time, because there hasn't been a ton of drinking in this episode, so it's a good way to get caught up. All right. That was fun.
That was goody.
I say unto thee, no one shall be appointed to receive commandments and revelations in this church, except my servant. Give you 3 guesses, Bryce. Who might be the one person that gets to receive them? Turns out it's Joseph Smith Jr., for he receiveth them even as Moses. There you go.
I was going to guess Hiram Page. I swear I was going to.
Well, you didn't speak soon enough, Bryce, and good thing you would have sounded like an idiot. But yeah,
no,
turns out that 2 people have ever received commandments from God. They would have been Moses and Joseph Smith Jr. That's now we know. Now we know. Thanks, God. Appreciate that.
And thou shalt be obedient unto the things which I shall give unto him, even as Aaron, to declare faithfully the commandments and the revelations with power and authority unto the church.
Yeah. More name dropping.
More name dropping. It's amazing.
Yeah, listen. All of these people that are, ancient, probably fables, but even if they lived, have been dead thousands of years. Yeah, they totally want me to be in charge. They sure do. God just told me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had me in mind the whole time. The whole time they were writing the Bible, the only thing they could think about is, some dude later on in the 1830s, is Joseph Smith Jr., he's going to be the linchpin. He's going to be the dude responsible for all of it.
Yeah, don't ask what God's going to be doing in the thousands and thousands of years between us and him. Don't worry. He'll figure that out. But eventually, trust me. Yeah.
He was hanging out in Maui.
All right. And if thou art led at any time by the Comforter to speak or teach, or at all times by the way of commandment unto the church, thou mayest do it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like I said, I think I was right before. I think it is. It's just like as long as you feel like the Holy Ghost is telling you to do a thing, then do the thing.
Yeah.
Or say the thing.
Which that can't turn out badly at all.
Yeah, it does seem he's giving him quite a bit of leeway. I don't know if Ollie finally got back on Joe's good side, because this is very unlike Joe to say to anyone to give him that much leeway.
Just wait. It's this revelation is evolving as we get further.
All right, you keep going then.
But thou shalt not write by way of commandment, but by wisdom. There it is. So that's the caveat. He's like, so anytime the Comforter tells you to do something, do it. Speak or teach or whatever it is. But as far as commandments go, yeah, that's my department.
Gotcha.
You don't mess around with those.
Wow, boy, that's just a mean thing to do, right?
Well,
it's going up to someone and
worse.
saying, you just won $1 million, and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. It's like, yeah, but 99% of it's taxes, and it's just like, wait, what? Why don't you just tell me that I won very little? Why'd you get me excited first?
It gets so much worse, because Joe just continues to further bury Ollie in this. And thou shalt not command him who is at thy head and at the head of the church. For I have given him the keys of the mysteries and the revelations which are sealed until I shall appoint unto them another in his stead.
Wow.
Whew, there you go.
Dude, so basically, Ollie, you're number 2. You're not number 1. And by the way, you will never be number 1. Ever.
It's exactly right. And you will never, ever command that guy who's at thy head, giggity, or at the head of the church, giggity goo. And, that's obviously the servant Joseph. Oh, by the way, we didn't get to this yet, but if you had to guess who wrote this section, who would you guess?
I'm guessing Joe, because God is speaking in the first person.
This one is pinging as high on the Rigdon scale. Holy crap, I had no idea.
Rigdon wrote
this one? Yeah, this one is high on Rigdon, more so than Smith. That's amazing.
Man, they're throwing curveballs at me. Okay.
Right. Yeah, this is 28. Yep, Doctrine and Covenants section 28. That's hitting Rigdon. Wow. All right.
Rigdon threw a curveball at me. Okay. I wouldn't have guessed it. So basically, it's giving them, you know what, Ollie, you can go around and just say whatever you want to say, do what you want to do, but you have to listen to me, though.
Right. When it comes to the official stuff, leave it up to the boss man.
Yeah, and
He-
don't tell the boss that you know better, because you don't. You do not. I know. When I make a
Right.
decision, you just follow it. That's how. But otherwise, do whatever you want, bro. Anything you
I'm
want.
not looking for any no men around here.
That's exactly right. All right.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing.
okay. And now, behold, drink. I say unto you that you shall go unto the Lamanites and preach my gospel unto them. Oh,
Ooh, there we go.
goodness me. So I assume that these are the nearest Native American reservation slash. I guess there weren't reservations back then because this is pretty early in American history. This would have been.
This was just, yeah. I mean, the expansion of the colonies had gone a little bit beyond the Mississippi River, and that's where anything west of that was pretty much just Lewis and Clark territory. That's it. It was all just Indian territory.
I tell you, it's sometimes just surprising how short American history is compared to, you know what I mean? It just
Yeah,
because it feels like this is such a young church and it's just like such a new thing on the in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, this is
but so is America, dude.
really long
America is
ago
pretty
in
new
American
too.
history. This is very early, very early.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, got to go to the Lamanites, preach gospel. All right. And inasmuch as they receive thy teachings, thou shalt cause my church to be established among them, and thou shalt have revelations, but write
So
them not by the way of commandment. Wow.
I
All
have
right.
to I have to say, so hang on. Mine just said preach the Lamanites yeah, and preach my gospel unto them and cause my church to be established among them. Mine didn't say anything. Yours had like a qualifier
It
phrase on
did.
it, right?
It did.
In as much
It
as
said
they'll
that you're
receive it.
allowed to have your own revelations. That's fine, but you're not allowed to write them down like it's some sort of commandment. So
Well, no,
yeah.
no. I'm talking about yours said and in as much as they will receive the commandments or whatever, right? Talking about the Lamanites.
Yeah, yeah. And inasmuch
Yeah.
as they
So that
receive thy
was
teachings, thou shalt cause my church to be established among them.
yeah. That is all new. That little chunk,
Oh.
that little phrase is all new. So I think that was when this was written in my version. They were like gung ho, yeah, we'll go convert all them Lamanites. But by the time 1835 rolled around and they were, Joseph was parsing through this, he was like, oh, so yeah, that mission trip out to the Lamanites, yeah, that didn't work. We got thrown out. So yeah, we'll just throw that in there, in as much as they'll receive
Yeah.
the word, and yeah, there you go.
Because otherwise it would sound like God's revelation was fallible. Because it was kind of like you're going to go and what do they say? Establish the church there.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're just it's going to go happen. And it's like, well, totes didn't happen, so we should probably throw something in there to say why. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
All right, you're up next.
And now behold, drink, I say unto you, that it is not revealed, and no man knoweth where the city shall be built, but it shall be given hereafter. There you go.
So at some point, we all tell you where Zion's going to be, but not yet.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
and this was the section heading just started to spoil us, but do you remember this story in my show with the Hiram Page revelation?
Yes, I do. I know where this is
Yeah.
going, which is why I'm mad. Because this is where Hiram has his own stone, he's given his own revelations, and
Yep.
Joe orders it to be bashed into nothingness. I remember. Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's a
Sorry,
shame.
everybody. I
Spoiled.
know this was
Yep.
going to happen because this intro stuff. So I might give up on these intros. I just might. Because I know exactly what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, man.
Yep. Then it goes on, behold, drink.
Drink?
I say unto you that it shall be on the borders by the Lamanites. So that's where Zion is. It's somewhere over there to that direction-ish,
Yeah.
sort of.
West of the Mississippi. Somewhere over there. All right. Thou shalt not leave this place until after the conference, and my servant
Oh.
Joseph shall be appointed to preside over the conference by the voice of it. Strange. And what he saith to thee thou shalt tell. All right. So just in case you didn't know, you're his mouthpiece, you're his puppet. Yeah. That's what
That
you are.
was possibly the best correction I have seen in the entire time that we've been reading the two versions.
All
That was
right.
possibly the best change that I've ever seen.
All right, so before we hear
Mine's-
yours, let's parse apart what mine really said, right? So first of all, it's just like, listen, you're getting shipped out to go preach to the Native Americans, but you can't leave
Yep.
till after this conference happens. You have to stick around for the conference because whatever Joe says at this conference, that's what you need to go do and tell people. That's basically what
And
mine said.
yeah, exactly. And I think that the reason why they were saying wait is because he was still organizing the other missionaries that were going to accompany Oliver Cowdery out there.
Mm.
So, but that's just what I am assuming here. But the connection or the correction that is just amazing. Mine says, "And my servant Joseph shall be appointed to rule over the conference instead of preside over. Rule like a dictator, dude, like a king." It's amazing. They changed rule to preside over.
There's
Oh,
synonyms. It's fine. They mean the same thing. What are you getting all bent out of shape for, Bryce?
yeah. One just has a negative connotation of being tyrant, tyrannical or whatever. So
Yeah.
no big deal.
I'm sure. I'm sure that any normal citizen can go up to their dictator or despot ruler and
Oh,
say,
oh yeah.
"You don't rule me. You just preside over me," and that would be just fine.
They have no problem with that.
Surely not.
Oh,
All
isn't
right.
that great? That's a great correction right there. That is just beautiful. You wonder what meeting they decided that. Like, do we really want to keep rule in there? That's kind of a hard word.
Bryce, I'll edit it out if you check real quick in 1835.
Oh, that is in the 1835 one. It says that Joseph shall be appointed to preside over the conference by the voice of it.
Wow. So even Joe thought, like, man, rule sounds a little bit heavy-handed.
Little
Man.
harsh, yeah. But I mean, by by like 1842, he was a ruler. I mean, he was king. So he eventually got a little, a little adjusted to that word, I should say.
Well, whether he's ruling or presiding, we have to move on. Why don't you read the next one?
Finally. And again, thou shalt take thy brother Hiram between him and thee alone, and tell him that those things which he hath written from that stone are not of me, and that Satan deceiveth him.
Satan is just always in there meddling, isn't he?
Right?
Telling you.
Man, that stupid
I
adversary.
know.
He is just such a jerk face.
And remember all that stuff about free will? Apparently, it doesn't matter because these spirits and Satan can just get inside you and just
Yeah.
mess you up. But anyway,
We're
beside the
subjects to
point.
their little game.
Yeah, yeah. We're just little
Oh, well.
pawns for their little heavenly battle. But anyway, the one thing that's interesting is they wanted to make sure because we've all come to learn that there's about 15,000 Hirams in Mormon history, so they did have to throw in Hiram Page in my version.
Oh,
Otherwise, we'd have
luckily.
had no idea. Yeah.
Yep. Well, this is spelled Hiram instead of Hyrum. So that makes you know that it's not Hiram Smith. But you don't know if this is talking about Hiram, Ohio, or because there's too many similar names in there.
And listen, Hiram can't be that like offended when Joe's like, dude, those revelations totally Satan. Sorry, bro. Like, you can't get that upset because Joe himself said that some of his revelations turns out came from Satan.
Oh,
So you know what I mean? It's just like, hey, look, it's happened to me too, bro. It's fine. It's fine. Sometimes I think I'm talking to for God. Turns out it's Satan, that little rascal. Yeah. Every time I've said
Right.
stuff that's turned out to not be true, Satan. Yeah.
Convenient how that works out.
It's amazing.
Oh, but I've never ordered my own stone to be crushed because it was inaccurate or anything. That's just your stone.
Yeah, well, your stone, his stone's just spitting out nothing but Satan. Nothing but Satan. It's probably
That's
a
why
Satan
it's a
stone.
black
That's the
stone,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah, Hiram, it's a Satan stone. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, yes, it works.
It's the wrong type of mineral, dude. You gotta have the right. It's got to be the right stone to be the Jesus stone.
Yeah, your stone's not even remotely white and delightsome. Anyway, so let's see what's next. For behold, drink, these things have not been appointed unto him, neither shall anything be appointed unto any of this church, contrary to the church covenants. Well, now Hiram should be upset, because before it was just like, hey, listen, look, no harm, no foul, it was Satan's fault, right? But now it's saying, like, you totally overstepped your authority. And that's like, so now he's getting a little bit chided. It wasn't just Satan.
Right, and it also says that there shouldn't be anything appointed unto anything that's contrary to the church covenants. Right, so I mean, just implicitly there shouldn't be any of these covenants that contradict each other. Right,
Which also kind of implicitly means that what Hiram was saying was indeed contradicting what Joe was saying, right? Pretty much says that.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And those have all been lost to history, right? The Hiram revelations.
Yeah, we don't know what was on there.
We've
I
never
wish
even
we
we've
could
never
find
even
him.
heard any I don't know, historian speculation based on anything. We've nothing.
Well, based off of the content of what we've read, how it said, no man knows where the city of Zion will be built, but it shall be given
Uh,
hereafter. That's
gotcha.
what I'm able to use to surmise the content of that of Hiram's revelations, because this was a restorationist church. I
You're
mean,
right.
everybody that was joining the church was saying, where is Zion, the New Jerusalem, going to be built? People were asking Joseph that frequently, and he didn't want to give a hard answer. But this Hiram Page guy, he didn't seem like he had a problem with playing fast and loose with God revelations.
Bryce, I'm so glad you're on the show. That makes so much sense. Because, yeah, when I read back, it's like, yeah, why did they mention where the city of Zion is going to be built? What does that have to do with anything
Right.
that we're reading? And yeah, there you go. So there must have been a revelation that Hiram had made that said, this is where Zion's going to be. Unfortunate, boy, it sucks that we don't know where he said it was going to be. That'd have been cool to know.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't it be though?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
wonder. You really, really wonder if he did happen to say like Independence, Missouri, and then Joseph was like, no man knows where it's going to be, and then later on he went to Independence, Missouri, and it was like, this is Zion. Like, I'm so curious where Hiram said that Zion was going to be.
Well, we'll never know. Never
I
know.
know.
Maybe Vegas.
If only.
Maybe Vegas. Anyway.
Totally. Let's see. Neither shall anything be appointed unto any of the church contrary to the church covenants, for all things must be done in order and by common consent in the church, by the prayer of faith. Yes, the church is a democracy, isn't it?
That's
It's
right.
beautiful.
That's right.
Yep.
And so you have to have prayer and faith. And so yeah, if you're not voting the right way, well, your faith is off. You got to fix your faith.
Yeah. What did you say? It was like the same democracy as much of a
Oh,
democracy as like North Korea or
right.
something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the raising the square. I said it's like presidential elections in North Korea.
Yeah. Exactly. Same kind of thing. Yep.
Yeah.
All done by common consent.
Yes, yes. I think Saddam Hussein won his last election where he was, before he was overthrown. And I think it was in the over 99.5% of the electorate voted for him. And I was surprised it was so low.
That's because the entire, all of his electoral votes were all of the Ba'ath parties, the Baathists, and of course they were all the party that supported him, and that's what made up the entirety of the government. So it makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Oh, you voted against me? Let's just make sure you're not in the government. Yeah.
But they at least explain it here, right? It's, yeah, you have to have the prayer of faith in order to even give common consent. And so, yeah,
Oh.
if you're not in with everybody else, yeah, you got to fix your faith, bro. You're just not,
Right.
you're not
If your
believing hard
consent
enough.
isn't in common with everybody else's, then there's something wrong with your consent.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have enough faith. All right, and thou shalt assist to settle all these things according to the covenants of the church before thou shalt take thy journey among the Lamanites. Well, I think if I
Well,
were
that's
Ali, I'd be like,
interesting.
well, I guess I never have to go, because how do you settle all of these things? I don't think you can. Oh no, it's no. What he wants him to settle is like go put a muzzle on Hiram. That's
Yeah,
what he's saying. I
exactly.
get it now. Okay,
Well,
okay.
and I have to say, something that's interesting here is there's a little change. Mine doesn't say assist to settle. Mine just says, and thou shalt settle all things.
Okay.
So that's kind of odd that they added the assist in there.
Maybe Joe
Because
wanted to
that's
say
not
that he
initially how
helped.
it read, right? I mean, Joseph initially was like, no, you go tell him off for me. I'm not going to do it. You tell him that he's led by the devil. But the way that it reads in yours, it's like Joseph and Joseph and Oliver must have come up to him and talked to him about it.
I mean, yeah, you could understand it that way. We don't know who assisted him, but yeah, you would assume. Who else would it have been? Well,
Right?
actually, maybe it was Cowdery, right? Or no, he is Cowdery. I keep
Yeah.
mixing him up. Rigdon, right? Maybe it was Rigdon.
Rigdon was still in Ohio at this time.
Ah,
Supposedly, right now we're organizing the missionary trip where Rigdon supposedly, gets the first copy of the Book of Mormon that he ever sees, and he reads it. And very soon after this, Oliver Cowdery goes up and preaches in front of his congregations in Ohio. So that's still in the works. According to the claimed timeline, Rigdon and Joe had not met by this time.
well, certainly Rigdon could have sent a stern epistle, maybe. to help him?
Yes.
You like those epistles in here. All right, you're up next.
And it shall be given thee from the time that thou shalt go, until the time that thou shalt return what thou shalt do. Well, that's nice. From the time you leave until the time you get back, God's just going to tell you what to do. That's really, really convenient.
Hmm?
You know, it's like the Blues Brothers, right? We're on a mission from God.
There you go.
You know, you're just flying by the seat of your pants. Whatever God tells you to do, you just go do it.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? You'll figure it out.
It
You'll
would be
figure it
a
out.
great way to live, right?
I guess. Yeah. Well, but it can make you. It just makes people lazy, right? Like you don't actually have to work for a thing. You're just like, well, if God wanted me to have it, He'd give it to me, so I don't have to work for it. It's like, no, that's not how life
today
works.
God just wants me to watch TV or play League of Legends. So
Yeah.
you go preach? No, God doesn't want me to do that
Well,
right now.
no,
Are you kidding?
you've not read the final verse. Perhaps I should. So it sounds like a
Oh.
paradise so far, right? So you're like, it's
Yes,
great. You can
yes.
just do whatever. But no, here comes the stickler. This is what Joe does, right? He gives you like the really exciting news and then tells you, yeah, but he didn't really mean it. So here it is. And thou must open thy mouth at all times, declaring my gospel with the sound of rejoicing. Amen. Drink. So yeah,
Drink. Oof.
not as exciting now, is it? So if you want to just live life lazy and not have to worry about even now you're getting your next meal, well, you pretty much do have to like run around just yelling all the time, rejoicing about how much you love God.
With the voice of a Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Voice of a Donald. Which you do have a pretty good thing on. Anyway, I guess we're only getting through 2 tonight. Bummer.
I think so. What are we at? Oh, yeah, that is about the right time.
Holy
isn't it?
crap. I just turned to see, like, okay, could we read 29? No. Thing's a
No,
monster.
No.
Man, that
It's a
means
goodie,
our
too.
next episode's probably just going to be one chapter, so seeing the length of it. My God.
It's probably going to be a 2.5-hour episode again.
Oh, no, it
Oh,
will
the poor
not.
listeners.
It will not. Bryce, don't do that.
You say that
All
now.
right. Well,
You say that.
that is the end of this episode, or at least the reading. The rest of this is just going to be us babbling, so if that annoys you, you can just turn it off, and we'll see you next week. But otherwise, I would like to say that the episode 31 of Naked Mormonism podcast came out, where yours truly was in the second part of the great, what do they call it, the camp, Joseph's camp, what do they call it?
Zion's
camp. Man. All right, I know you think I'm dumb because it was like, it just came out. How do you already forget? We recorded it a while ago, so just saying.
That's right, long time ago.
No. Famous Zion's camp, where Joe got his private army and marched it out to Missouri. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but that's what he did. And so, part 2, where we find out what happens. Anyway, so it was a lot of fun. Bryce, again, thanks for having me on. It was a blast, and hopefully we at some point get to collaborate again in some other way other than this. Actually, you know what? People are probably sick of us together. You hear this show all the time.
Right, they come here for that. But no, I was going to say it was a lot of fun having you on, just having somebody to ask questions to help me contextualize something. Because sometimes I'll do that. Like I'll go on a rant or a riff for a while, and then I won't realize that, I didn't make sense at the beginning of the riff, so it all doesn't make sense after that. So, having you to ask the questions like, wait, what are you talking about? Yeah, I think that did help out a bit. And I mean, altogether, it was a fun discussion.
You know what, Bryce? Here's I mean this so much. I liked it so much that even if you were struggling on writing a script about a historical topic, just call me up and tell me the story. I just want to hear it, and I will ask you all the questions that I have about it, and I'll laugh at certain things, surely, and be shocked by certain things, and maybe that'll help you write the script. So yeah, I'll do that
There
for
you
you.
go.
And you know what? If we
I
both hit
like that.
record and it happens to get released to all of our patrons, that wouldn't hurt. But and if people want to hear that, then hey, they would know how, right? So who knows? That could happen someday.
Definitely. I like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did have one quick announcement to say. When this episode goes up, my second show, the sister show to the Naked Mormonism podcast, is going to be up, and that's just a show reading the possible source texts for the Book of Mormon. That's going up on Monday, the 4th of April, and it's I'm starting out with reading the late War of 1812 between Great Britain and the United States. and just trying to draw the connections between it and the Book of Mormon, and just trying to learn what's in the book along the way while reading it. So it's kind of what you did with the Book of Mormon, only with other books that are similar to the Book of Mormon instead. So that is officially live at the time of when this episode comes out.
In fairness, Bryce, yours is at least based on a true story. So anyway,
wait, yours is it? Wait, what?
I guess it's up to the interpreter, literally.
Yeah, given the episode that I had the true believing Mormon on.
Can I give you? I'm going to tell you a secret listen to a veteran podcaster here. Okay, I'm going to give you some gems of wisdom.
Oh,
It's usually a good idea to tell people what the name of the show is, and you've been talking for quite some time. Why don't you tell us the name of your new show, Bryce?
yes, it is the Glass Box Podcast.
There you go.
Thank you for reminding me. I was gonna totally just let that ride. Like, what was the name
that's
of it?
what it's about, and hope you enjoy it. It's like, and
Yeah.
there's one thing
And
you're
what's
forgetting.
right? Thank you. You see that's why I like talking to you so much. You have those nuggets of wisdom that I just need to grab, sample, and integrate into my own life. So that was thank you.
Well, I've got at least 10 years on you, so I think I'm your mentor. Yes. I'm your Yoda.
Like
Anyway, I don't know. I think I just called myself old. Now I'm sad. I'm just sad.
You pretty much are. Though.
All right, so the Glassbox Podcast, is there a website up for it yet?
Yeah, so glassboxpodcast.com. There's some other stuff that's going to be that's in the works right now, some other infrastructure things that are in the works, and those will be going live eventually. But at the moment, there will be 2 episodes that are debuting, and then there will be more episodes weekly coming out every Monday night.
All right. Well, sounds exciting. I mean, listen, little spoiler. First couple of episodes that Bryce made of the Glassbox Podcast, he released for the patrons of the Naked Mormonism podcast, which I happen to be a proud NAMO. And, so I've actually heard the first couple episodes, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And so I can't wait for the next ones. And, and you've even got a Patreon set up for that, right? Because, I mean, it is twice as much work, so you got to...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that one is set up for a Patreon, and that's actually coming at a very convenient time because I'm in the process of moving, and as everybody that has ever moved before knows, it's not cheap to move. And that's needless to say, coming at a very opportune time.
All right, everybody, let's step up your generosity. Let's make sure Bryce is able to keep doing what he's doing, and
do it full time. I love it.
But Bryce, that doesn't mean you're not gonna write those books, right?
That is very true. The books are still making slow and very, very steady progress on those. And to be honest, the data that I'm collecting from this secondary show, I'm wanting to include it as either an appendix or a second edition of the Book of Mormon book that'll be coming out. Because I feel like over the amount of time that this podcast, the second podcast, will be running, there will be a lot of data collected on similarities between the Book of Mormon and these other books. Scholarship and research that's only, burgeoning at the moment right now. So, I feel like that's something that could be very easily incorporated into like a second edition of the book or something. So, yeah, but that's far and away down the road. We'll talk about that
I'll tell you
later.
this, Bryce, as an individual contributor to your research and as a spokesperson for all of the, mimos of this show that have contributed, I think, and I think everyone would agree, rather it take longer and be better, right? Or be complete than trying to rush to meet a deadline. So yeah, I hear you. It's just every time you lift a rock, you just find more under it, and you just find more rocks.
Yeah.
And so, if you got to do it, if it takes longer than you expected because you had no idea how much content there was available, then all right, fair enough.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I've never written a book before, and trying to take on the ambitious goal of putting out 2 books in 6 months. I think the goal as a whole was a bit unrealistic, but like I said, when I'm unearthing each of these rocks and looking underneath them, seeing the entire world that lives underneath each one, it does take longer. It just simply does take longer. Something that I think is only going to take a day worth of writing ends up being a week worth of research and then writing, and it's just insane. The rabbit holes never end. It's a beautiful wonderland that I feel like I'm barely traipsing around into right now.
Well, I don't want you to get lazy, so I feel like we do need to just let you know we are all anxiously waiting. But yeah,
Oh, laziness.
yeah,
I
when
wish I
you
knew
feel
it.
like it's time for you to just pick up your Xbox controller, just bear in mind, maybe a few more hours on the internet typing and researching wouldn't kill anybody.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, I'll let you know
I
when you're
don't
allowed
need
to
a
take
life.
breaks, but just you need it.
Oh, thank
You
you,
need it,
thank
and
you.
you
I was
just
just saying, I don't need a
it
life.
needs
I
to be
really
written
don't.
approval. So, like,
All
email.
right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it for now. That was
Well,
fun.
anyway, yes.
And Bryce, I don't know. I just look forward to all the stuff you're doing. It's amazing that the community has agreed that we want you to do this full time. I and so I don't. There's not a whole lot of people out there that are like a full time Mormon researcher, and
Right.
and just for the without and you're not like doing it. I think there are people that are full time Mormon researchers, but they're doing it kind of for the other side, right? The ones trying to make the apologists, right?
Yeah,
And
people working for BYU and for farms or fair and farms and stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean they are employed by the church to do it, and there are a few of those out there, a few of those researchers out there that do write books full time and whatnot. And I say more power to them. That's awesome. But as far as full time podcasters on Mormon history, I think that's a pretty niche market. I think that's a pretty small subsect of occupation.
indeed, indeed.
So,
I
but
actually
yes, I
believe
mean
occupation or not, I think you're the only Mormon history podcast like that's what it's dedicated to. I think you're it. I'm not
yeah,
aware of any
I
other.
think at the moment anyway. Don't tell anybody though. I want to be the only dude out in these seas, out in these waters as long as possible. I mean, I don't want to have any competition. Are you kidding me?
Well, there's
No.
definitely been some great episodes on podcasts, like individual podcasts that were about
Yeah.
Mormon history. I know
Yeah, I was going
Irreligiosity
to
has
say
done several.
Irreligiosity. Yeah, the Mountain Meadows massacre of Irreligiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap. That is amazing. So yeah, I mean there are plenty of podcasts that have dabbled into Mormon history and stuff, but as far as, singularly dedicated to that, yeah, I mean John DeLynn, and that's about it. That's the only other full-time podcaster that I can think of that specifies in Mormonism only. So,
Well,
yeah.
you're not really
And
focused on
and
Mormonism as much as you are Mormon history, which I feel is a bit different.
Right. Oh, that's very true. Very, very true. Yeah. But I mean, all of that to say to anybody that does support the show and support my my lifestyle of being a full-time podcaster, that is really, really awesome of you, and I thank you all very, very dearly for it. It's a level of graciousness that I've never experienced in my life until I started realizing that it was a possibility, until this started happening, until people started supporting it this amount. And I was like, I could actually do this full time. There's no way that people are actually this generous, and finding out that people are that awesome. It's a really gratifying experience, and it makes me really proud to be part of a community that is this awesome. To be honest, so
I agree.
yeah, I mean,
Couldn't agree
thank
more.
you all very, very much. I mean, you guys are awesome.
I'm going to recommend one other great episode I heard on another show about Mormon history, and then I think we're just going to wrap this because my God, this Babel segment has gone on for quite some time. But if you haven't heard of the Dollop is two stand-up comedians that just talk about American history. So one of them, kind of like what you did to me in episode 1 or 30 and 31 of your show, where you just
Yeah.
like told me a historical story and I didn't know it, and so it was just like my reactions going along. So these two guys, they do that with all these really cool stories from American history. And episode 74 is on your boy Porter Rockwell.
That's right, old pistol packing port.
I knew you'd get
Yeah,
his
that's a
nickname
goodie.
for us. So yeah, I don't know if you ever heard that, but it was a hilarious episode.
Oh yeah, no, it is absolutely great. Yeah, that's a really good one to check out, and it talks about Joseph Smith and Mormonism a little tiny bit, but it focuses the whole time on good old pistol packing port, and that dude was just a badass. He was such an awesome guy.
It was a great
Yeah, I
story.
mean,
Can't deny it.
yeah. I mean, yeah. You just go listen to it. The Dollop, episode 74. Really, really good
Fun
episode.
stuff. All right, well, that's enough.
And also listen to Radium Girls. That's a really good episode of it, too.
Sorry.
And Newport Sex Scandal. That's a funny one.
All right, calm down, calm down.
Anyway, yeah. Good show. Good show. Check out the Dollop. And they're not paying me to say that, I swear.
Hey, guess what? I'm going to see him live in a couple weeks. What?
No kidding.
Yeah, they're coming to Chicago. Anyway, all right, let's stop talking about other shows.
All right.
You guys go check it out. Whatever. That's fine. All right, so thanks as always, Bryce, and we'll talk to you next time. And then thanks all the Mimos out there that are still on this journey with us. That's awesome. Glad you're still listening because we are still enjoying doing it. So yeah. All right.
Definitely.
So Bryce, thanks a ton.
Thanks. Yep, thank you as always, and I'll talk to you next time around.
You bet, man. Bye.
This song is licensed for use within this podcast. All song and copyright information can be found at www.mybookofmormonpodcast.com.